Thanks guys for coming out. It's been a fun Monday thus far. I had a chance to talk to a few of you. Seems like everyone's excited for the panel, which I am as well. Before we do that, I'm just going to give you guys a brief rundown of how the event's actually going to work out. We have Greg Kennedy's going to come up and do a welcome from TapSense, our sponsor. Thank you to them. Those are the guys that paid for your drinks, along with HeyZap. And we have, tonight we have Timothy Lee moderating from Sequoia Capital, Adam Grenier from Hoteltonight, Stephen Yarger from Trulia, and Manish, Chandra from Poshmark, and they'll be able to give you more of a summary of what they do in their firms. So what is Mobile Monday? Mobile Monday, we're a global community of developers, entrepreneurs, professionals, basically just everybody that's in the industry, in the mobile industry. It's quite exciting to be a part of it here in Silicon Valley. I recently just joined the team, and we have such a large group of people that are interested in coming to these events. Every single one of them usually sells out. Whether they show up or not is a different story, but we are a non-profit trade organization, and the community is more than 100,000 people, over 100 plus cities, which is pretty exciting. Here's some of our previous sponsors. And here's a little breakdown of what your roles are in the audience. We have developers, for this one it was more product marketing and management. And then it always is followed up by the BD guys, the guys that are trying to get deals done. Few VCs out there, some media journalists, and some designers. I'd like to see more designers in here. Designers, bring your friends. All right, why are you attending? A lot of people are usually attending for the networking and obviously to learn about what's going on in the industry. And a few people are looking for a job. That used to be a little bit higher, so I guess the job market is picking up around here. And we always ask a few other questions of our audience, and this one was the most interesting, to show who or what platform developers really want to build for. And it's been interesting to see HTML5 grow consistently, event to event, but of all iOS is the leader. Here's a breakdown of the SDKs that people are using in their apps, with analytics as the number one, going down to advertising, and then payments and billing and app promotion has really kind of been the dual, with payments and billing rising over the past couple of months. And then here are the types of ads that make you more money. App installs and promotions are the number one. You can see TapSense for that if you're interested. Shout out. And here's a way for you guys to get involved. We do let you guys sponsor events like TapSense and HeyZap did tonight, and we also have CXO dinners where basically we just bring dinners for C-suite executives to invite only. We can basically help you decide where to do the dinner or what theme to have, and then actually invite the actual folks. We're really easy to work with, and you can work with the lovely team here at Mobile Monday. It's limited to 20 people max. Here's something else that we've been doing that Jeremiah Kimmelman, which is located over here, has really been working on building a developer-focused event series. 50 developers max, where we usually have more than that. We like to break the rules. And we have basically a 2 to 3 hour workshop for mobile SDKs and APIs, and it's really just throwing code up there on the wall and telling them how to integrate certain APIs and SDKs, and usually we feature a company each month, and we've been working with Verizon's Innovation Center, and we have a few more companies that we're looking to have space at, so we'll be launching that here soon. The team, from Mario all the way down to Rebecca, here's who you can get in touch with if you have any questions. And as far as the web address, it looks, I don't even think you can't see it. I couldn't see it on the computer. It's mobilemonday.us. For our meetups, that's where we put all of our meetups. moving forward. So if you guys are interested in any of the meetups that are coming up in the future, please join the meetup. And Twitter, we try to do a pretty good job of tweeting out stuff, but the meetup is really where everything gets posted. Without further ado, I want to welcome Gregory to the stage. And
hello. How's everyone doing tonight? Hey, thank you everybody for coming. I've been friends with the Mobile Monday guys for a long time, and I'm really excited that they gave us the opportunity to sponsor this. And I'm just really excited that we got such a great turnout tonight. I mean, I know it was Occupy Wall Street when I showed up here, and they were all well behaved and have gone home for dinner. So I'm glad there wasn't too much congestion or issues with BART or anything like that that might prevent any of you guys from coming out tonight. And then of course I want to thank our panelists. I'm really happy that you guys showed up. I know they put a lot of effort and energy into their talks tonight, and I'm sure it'll be really interesting. We'll definitely open up the floor later for people if you want to ask questions. So if you have things in advance, like keep the brain going on. And so I just wanted to briefly share with you some information about TapSense. So I'm Gregory, and one of the co-founders of TapSense. We're a mobile acquisition platform for apps. So I think everyone here in the room understands the challenge that marketers face today in the app space, right? There's literally millions of apps that have been produced and are in the ecosystem, right? I mean, every vertical, from my perspective, has at least 5, 10, maybe 20 competitors, people vying for that space. I mean, there's apps that do everything from start your car remotely to manage your security system for your home to operate your DVR recorder. I mean, there's literally an app to do everything. And I think the question that everybody has tonight, particularly if you're a marketer or developer or someone that works in the app space, is not just about how you get downloads, but how do you get high quality downloads for the app that you love so much, you work so hard on. So, yeah, you can. So the TapSense solution for the Donald Drapers out there, the advertisers and the marketers, is a single point of buying across all the major traffic sources that are out there. So inventory is locked into all these different platforms, exchanges, ad networks, and then there's individual publishers who don't necessarily have technology. You have to deal with them separately from all the other stuff out there that's really complicated. So people who've been succeeding in mobile marketing have been buying inventory in all different places, aggregating it together. It's a very manual process to optimize and manage your campaigns. And TapSense solves for that problem. We aggregate it all together, and you're looking at an apples-to-apples comparison now, and you can really get a holistic view of your mobile app marketing with our platform. So that's the unified reporting and deduplication, which we can do across all the different ad networks and exchanges that are out there. We also auto-optimize and help you find high-quality users. And so a high-quality user for TapSense is defined as not someone that just downloaded your app, but someone that actually uses your app. There are a lot of platforms out there that can get you downloads, but there's not a lot of platforms out there that can get you users who are actually engaged. And the way that we measure engagement is we simply measure the amount of times that people come back to the app. So we measure the download, and then we know that person downloaded, and we know that they come back. If they come back more times than other people, we consider them a higher quality. It's a very simple, easy to understand proxy for measuring the quality of users. There's lots of other things you can measure. Some of our customers might talk about that stuff later today. But we think the visit and the usage of the app is a very easy to understand metric. It marries what people are used to doing on the web. And we think it's the best way to create a common denominator across all the different types of marketing out there and figure out which ones are really driving value for your app. So this is a little bit more of an overview of our platform. there's all these numbers and metrics you keep throwing out there, 15 billion ad requests, 100 million users, 50,000 publishers, global English markets, that's US, UK, Canada, Australia, Singapore, Hong Kong, and the Netherlands. But really our focus is on the top 40 of the top 100 apps. So we really focus on quality and offer our customers the ability to access the best apps that have a lot of scale. But what's really important to understand with TapSense is that we're able to drive thousands of downloads per customer per day and get you high quality users. So working with us is easy. I'm Gregory. You can email me. You might want to give me a call, but maybe email in advance. There's other people from TapSense here, Ash, our CEO, and then Amit, our co-founder and CTO. And there's other people from TapSense as well, so I'll be around, I'll be here all night. And I hope you guys enjoy the panel. Thanks for coming.
Thanks, Gregory. My name is Tim Lee. I'm the founder at Sequoia Capital, and I'll be your moderator today, which means I'll try to quickly get out of the way of all the speakers that we have here up on stage. You guys are very fortunate to have a couple of folks who have a lot of experience in mobile marketing. But perhaps just a few words on how I see this space and why I'm here helping to facilitate some of this discussion. We see hundreds of mobile early stage companies oftentimes come through our doors every month. And I would say the second question which we always ask is, how do you get distribution? How are you going to get your product out there? And the wonderful thing about mobile, the reason why we're able to have these sessions with such good attendance is, on the one hand, mobile has really flattened and democratized the distribution game. You wouldn't have been able to create a product and have it seen in 100 countries overnight and had the sort of success that Romeo has had, or that Pocket Gems have had, or some other companies have managed to have, with very little mind share given to how you're going to get distribution. So it's wonderful on the one hand, but on the other hand, there can be a lot of noise. And it's really important to understand how an entrepreneur is thinking through their distribution strategy anytime they come in, even when it's a 2 or 3 person company. So I have the pleasure of working with a lot of early stage companies, some in different verticals, just to name a few: Pocket Gems in mobile gaming, Karma in mobile commerce, WhatsApp in mobile messaging. These are companies who all early on understood how to get some form of distribution. And so hopefully today we're going to get a sense from these 3 panelists as to their secrets for distribution. And it's going to be different for each company. And I would encourage you, as you listen to their stories, to think about how you can do distribution uniquely to your product or to your vertical. But just to give everyone a sense, especially those on the panel, of who and how to answer some of these questions, can I get a sense for how many people are founders of mobile companies here? Raise your hands. Wow, about 30% or so. And how many people work in marketing for a mobile company? Right. Biz dev, partnerships. Pretty good. About 20%. How many people work for a non-startup, a larger company which may have a mobile strategy? So a healthy mix. So with that, I'm going to let each of the panelists just give a brief introduction, tell us about your company, and also what mobile marketing means to you in the context of your startup.
Great. All right, I'll start. My name is Adam Grenier, or the podium to those people sitting over on that side of the room. I'm Director of Mobile Marketing at Hoteltonight. We're a same-day hotel booking application. That means that you can't book until it's that day. But we focus on having a really great user experience for the people that are in that, if it's a predicament or a cool opportunity to book a hotel room in the same day. We really focus on the quality of the product and the hotels that we work with. And a big part of that is making sure that we find those people that are in those situations. So I'm greatly intertwined with driving new users to our application. Whether that's paid media acquisition, we've got our social media marketer here. We try to kind of touch all the various pieces of the kind of marketing spectrum rather than just focusing solely in on a paid user acquisition. And yeah, having quite a bit of luck at it. We've got over 3 million total installs to date. We've got new things, new markets opening every day. We're in about 50 markets right now in the UK, Canada, and the US, with about 17, I think, airport markets as well. And we're expanding literally every day. So, yeah, that's...
My name is Manish, Chandra. I'm the founder of a company called Poshmark. We're a marketplace for women's fashion, built entirely as a mobile app. Women can take a picture of any item that they want to sell, and we take care of payments, shipping, all of the logistics. It's a very sort of early stage. We just launched 7 months back as an app, but we're doubling our users every 4 to 6 weeks. And one of the interesting things is once people download the app, they tend to spend a lot of time. Our average user spends close to half an hour a day on our app.
My name is Yarger. I lead the mobile team at Trulia, which is one of the top real estate sites, residential real estate sites in the U.S. Clearly the best residential real estate site in the U.S. So if you're looking for a home to buy or a rent, come check out Trulia. I would also first like to thank TapSense for organizing and paying for everything. Thank you very much. I would also like to point out a member of my team, Vonti, who's down here up front. Vonti leads our marketing efforts as well. So. Thanks everybody for coming. My wife is always telling me I have very little important to say in the world, but maybe for a half hour she's wrong. So thanks for coming and listening to us. Yeah. Okay. So what am I supposed to say?
Well, why don't we dive straight in then? And see, you can start.
Ask your wife.
Maybe we should tell us about the marketing approach with mobile at Trulia. What do you measure? What's important to you? How do you approach mobile marketing?
Yes. So I think one of the really important things that I learned in my career, I used to run an online marketing, part of the online marketing group at Orbitz, a big travel website. And the advantage of online is that it's a very mature market and you can track what people do on the web. People know very directly and very clearly, especially in the e-commerce model, from the click to the view to the click to the purchase. And on mobile, as we're just starting out, that entire chain is being put together now. But the one thing that's very clear that I've learned in a direct marketing environment, a direct response environment particularly, is that you may not, you need to find the actions that create business value for your specific business model, and you need to be optimizing for those actions. So for example, in the case of Trulia, it might be a registration. We know that if you come to our app and you register, you become a valuable user because we can build a relationship with you. And therefore, I want to target and acquire users who are most likely to register, regardless of what the CPI, meaning the cost of download, may have been. That doesn't mean that we don't look at the cost of downloads, but it means that if we can, in theory, if we get a $10 download, but we know that there's a 100% chance they're going to register, and we know registration for us is worth $20, we'll buy those people all day long. That's really what it comes down to. So the key is defining what user actions are business value, mean business value for your business, and then optimizing for those specific actions. And whether that's online or mobile, it really comes down to that. It's harder to do in mobile because the stuff is new and the ecosystem is new and there's a lot of people have figured out, but that's really what our strategy has been from the beginning.
Manish, is that the same for you?
Yeah, I think understanding the true value of what you are really delivering is important. I think it's, so certainly starting from, registration, if that's an event. We also spend a lot of time measuring the quality of users that we are getting. So, let's say you've done marketing or you've been out for a few months, you can start to look at cohorts, people who came in a certain way and started to sort of monetize. But monetization is just one dimension, socialize, upload, etc. And then from there, what we are working on, we don't have it perfected yet, is starting to deduce early stage quality signals. So if you're sort of getting users from a particular source, trying to understand what the predictive quality would be. So quality of users is I think really critical, just like it is in online. Online is full of a lot of garbage. Mobile is a little bit more sifted just because of where we are today. But I expect over the next year it's going to get very fragmented as well. So trying to understand what the action is, who the user is, and how they are behaving after you acquire them is very important.
Yeah, it's a relatively broken record here. So it's all about that, the entire funnel, right? So I think a lot of people fall into a trap really early on with mobile, which is it's this download game, right? Everything should be how cheaply can I drive the largest quantity of downloads possible to my application. As both these guys said, that the value doesn't necessarily come from the download. A download from my 1.5-year-old daughter isn't as much as a download from me or my grandma, right? So you got to treat each of those three individuals as a different source of traffic. So I've kind of always had a mantra, which is you spend money where you're going to make money. So at the end of the day, it all comes back down to your ROI. What actual return are you getting from those various different traffic sources? So if you're seeing a 200% return on a $10 CPI, it's worth it. It doesn't matter if other people are buying $1 CPIs because it's just not competitive. So for us, it does definitely come down to ROI, and I think what plays into that isn't just driving new users either. A lot of it has to do with engaging our existing users. So finding ways outside of just paid advertising to actually engage with those people. So that's part of that comes from the community side of it, and then part of it comes from the product. Nothing sells your product better than the product itself. So like for us, it's our product is bar none. Like every decision we make, at the end of the day, is making sure that we've got the best product available, so that when users do come, that ROI becomes much less of a challenge for us to achieve.
Wow, you guys are pretty boring, but the same response to the one question. I'm hoping to get a little bit more of a debate here, and I'm sure the audience is too. Am I right? Try and think of some questions, I should say, as we go along, so that you can get these guys in a little bit of a fist fight. And we're going to turn it back to the audience in just a second after I've gone through a few other questions. But how about this one then? Tell me something about the way that you do mobile marketing that is different than anyone else out there. Tell us a little bit of a differentiated approach or a unique approach which you think you have uncovered for each of your respective companies. And maybe I'll start with Adam this time.
All right, so unlike either of these guys are going to tell you, brand is important to us. So I think there's this. So no, I think in a general sense, these guys may agree with me or may disagree with me, but I think a lot of people in the mobile space, for the traditional big brand people, I've been in that side of the world, and mobile still is this confusing space where no one knows how to make money. But in the startup world, that's all they do know how to do is make money, but they don't know how to sustain it. They don't know how to build that brand. And so I think something we're doing really well right now that I don't see many other people doing are we know how to acquire users and do it with a really, really cool brand. Like people, they dig us, and we find really efficient ways to drive them. Whereas I feel a lot of other people in the mobile space are so data focused that they forget how to connect to those customers. And so you'll see it a ton in the gaming space. There's this huge churn where there'll be a great game for like a month, and everyone will play it, and then they get really bored of it because they didn't find new ways, new hooks to keep them engaged. So I think that's something we put into every one of our marketing efforts, whether it's user acquisition or social or any of those places. But we really think brand is a thing you can use in a user acquisition setting.
Let me see if you pass the test. Raise your hands if brand matters to you in the audience and brand marketing. About 50%, so you did okay there.
Raise your hands if you know Hoteltonight.
Good question. I like that. Not bad. 70%? You're on your way there.
Together.
Manish, I'm sure you can do better than that though.
Well, one of the things I think we do, which is kind of unique, and I think it's interesting because mobile offers that opportunity, is we actually do physical events to market our product, which is something we experimented early on and measured it to the degree that we can, and it turned out to be a very effective ROI. So in our app, you can actually attend a virtual shopping party. So these are, if it's 7 o'clock, there's one going on right now, and there's women from across the country buying and selling in real time, curated to a theme. Theme could be something very generic like fall fashion, or it could be very specific like Chanel and Prada. So what we do is we take these parties, which are virtual, and combine them with a live event. We've done them in New York, LA, Chicago. We have one happening in Miami next week. And we'll do these physical events, we invite local fashion influencers, and then combine it with some sort of local time into broadcast and media. And that whole thing has served to activate various geographies for us. And what we find over time is that combined with normal online marketing starts to sort of spawn that city. And then it has a cascading effect over time. So, and I think mobile is kind of a little unique because people can actually take their phone and attend an event and also engage with your app in real time versus sort of having a laptop and trying to do it. So I think something to think out of the box is what are the things that are unique to your experience that you can actually transcend and connect with people in real life?
Offline events. Who does offline events for their mobile application? Not that many, so maybe a new insight from more of you. Let's see if you can top that.
Actually, I have a question, Tim, if you didn't idea. How many people have the Trulia app or a Trulia app on their phones? Anybody have downloaded it?
So what's the next?
I'll ask at the end and hopefully it'll be on. We'll be paying attention for the rest of the presentation. I would say
Is this how you get downloads?
Right. My strategy. I go around and I ask people if they have the app, and they say no. I stand there and click on it. That wouldn't mind it. I think one thing that's unique about Trulia that sets us apart from these guys is that, as far as I know, you're both mobile only or certainly mobile first companies. Trulia is coming at this from a perspective where some of you may be, that we actually had a large web audience and we were very much a web company. 18 months ago, 5% of our traffic, only 5% of our traffic was mobile, and today it's 30%. So one challenge I face and one opportunity I have is we have this large built-in web audience and brand that people know about. What that means is that internally with the company, Monty and I are educating and working to do cross-promotion in a way that's unique to web companies like us, or web-first companies like us. And we try to be very specific around the way we do that so that we offer users value on mobile. If you come and visit Trulia and we know you're on a mobile device, we will encourage you to use our mobile experiences because we know we have data and analytics that show that you'll become more engaged, you'll enjoy the experience more, and you become a better Trulia user. So depending on what your business model is or where your audience is, you can use different distribution channels to really focus on your mobile experience. And I think that's something that we do that you guys, just because of the way your businesses are built, is probably not. The other thing that I personally am convinced of is that really the only long-term strategy in distribution is to test. I mean, you just test everything. You have an idea, Adam has an idea, Manish has an idea, Tim has an idea, we all think we're smart people, but at the end of the day, you just got to go out there and test a bunch of things, set up a good A/B testing platform, and see what works. And never assume that you know what's going on, because you will surprise yourself with some call to action or some small UX change, or you launch a new app in some market that you didn't think would work, and oh my gosh, it works, or it gets featured. So just test and question every assumption.
One thing, talking about web and mobile, it's something that we've learned over the last 7 or 8 months is that you have to deliver your message on the mobile medium. So the effectiveness of the message goes down like 90% if it's delivered on a web or other medium, which is really interesting because you could deliver a message even without any links to your app store on a mobile medium and actually have a much higher rate of conversion than have a direct link on the web. Also, if you're delivering on a dual platform where the message is going to be read on mobile and web. If it turns out that 70% of consumption is on web and only 30% is on mobile, your conversion rate will be dramatically lower. And the quality of users will be lower. So this is something which is kind of not that intuitive, because you would think if you reach a massive audience through something, you should have a huge rate of conversion. It doesn't happen. And it's forced us to sort of think about each platform in a very, very different way. So platforms that are pure mobile tend to be way more effective for us than platforms that are diffused, or if we can't target to just a mobile platform.
So I think the one thing that like cuts across all of that though is social. So like I was at Zeus before, and we started as a Facebook application, then became a web property, then became a mobile property, or mobile then I think. And it was exactly the same, right? Like our users, when we tried to drive online users to mobile, we just didn't get that great a conversion. And when we tried to drive mobile users to online, it wasn't that strong. And so the one thing we found though, that seemed to cut across that boundary was when we tapped into like our Facebook audience and our social audience. And I think we see a level of that as well with Hoteltonight, where there's still that word of mouth aspect of social, that whether it's happening online or on mobile, cuts through what type of device you're on, where that transaction is.
Yeah, no, I think and even within social, I would say 3 or 4 months back, only 3 months back, Twitter was way more effective than Facebook. And so, probably since July 1st, Facebook has started to turn their effectiveness around. And what we're seeing is, over the last 60, 75 days, Facebook has suddenly become actually a very interesting mobile platform. And in that sort of switch, obviously, we've seen all the technology and all of the movement, as well as actually direct advertising on Facebook has become almost 300 to 500% more effective in the last 60 days. So, again, I think just looking at that medium is very interesting. The other thing is we just did a test today.
Are you on commission for Facebook, Manish?
Huh?
Are you on commission for Facebook ads?
No, I'm just sharing the true fact of Facebook, because I used to really criticize them about 60 days back. If you heard me, it'd be the exact opposite thing, but it sucked. We spent so much more time nothing happened with it. But just another test we did today, where we had 2 links there. One was go to the website and we have a simple sign-up page there, there's not much there, and the other is download the app. People didn't know what the experience would be, but 90% of the conversions were on the app versus sort of less than 10% of the web link, which is really interesting because this was not anything mobile oriented, but the app tended to have a much stronger sort of call to action.
I think an observation that I have is that doing web and mobile both well is really, really difficult. You oftentimes have to put yourself in a completely different frame of mind. It's one of the reasons why a lot of the time mobile first startups are able to displace and compete with large incumbents. You see that across a number of different verticals. So with marketing in particular, I wonder if you all could comment a little bit about how the marketing landscape, perhaps some of the channels that you see have differed from mobile to web, now that you've had experience in the mobile world. What are some of the differences in the channels that you use and also the approach that you use to mobile marketing?
So I guess the biggest difference I feel is that there's a ton of people coming into the mobile platform space where you can buy ads from, where you can get that traffic from. Is that what you're asking, how that differs from web? I feel a lot of them are coming in from the web with this assumption that it's the same thing. And so that it can track the same way, that it performs the same way. And so they try to just take the knowledge of, like a general demand set platform or something like that, and they bring it to the mobile space and assume that it's going to have the exact same value, right? That it's going to have the same targeting capabilities that you might have on web, where cookies are this very rich environment that existed for years, right? That there's comScores and these types of services that can really understand who a user is. That doesn't really exist yet in mobile. And so that's been the biggest kind of headache, is just how many general salespeople will contact you with this. Oh my gosh, we've got this great solution that's actually exactly like everybody else's solution. When they actually break it down and realize, oh, nope, never mind, we can't do a lot of that stuff.
My feeling with mobile is the best is yet to come. There is so much sort of white space, and I think when you look at the app stores and you look at different apps and you look at different channels, I think the best thing you can do is pick up the phone and contact each of the channels and see what is happening with each of them, because there is so much turmoil. I mean, ranging from the fact that one of the massive platform providers suddenly changes their tracking code, which wreaks havoc on your entire platform overnight, to the fact that you put a small sort of code into an app and you'll get 5,000 downloads in 2 hours. So there's just so much learning that's happening, and testing out things that may be counterintuitive is very, very key. There's obviously the known platforms and the known networks, but I think the real genius is going to be to figure out, massive deploy, which you can find out, what are the apps that are already getting massively deployed, and how do you sort of use that as an overriding platform, What is your, like PayPal and eBay, what is your eBay? Or, if people remember Photobucket and MySpace, what is your MySpace? So trying to figure out that underlying platform that's expanding, that you can dovetail, is going to be very critical in mobile.
Yeah, the differences between web and mobile are many, many, many. I think they come down to the diversity and the use of the mobile platform. As Adam said, I'm constantly getting asked by many people, what's our ComScore rank in mobile? What's our mobile iPhone ComScore? How do we compare it to our competitors? And the answer is there is no ComScore for mobile. And so that whole mind shift for people who are web-centric is real, and it takes a while to get there, because each of the platforms keeps their silos. They really control the user experience from discovery through download through monetization. And now Amazon's coming on strong, Windows is coming on strong. It's only going to get more diverse. So this kind of idea that there's all these independent ecosystems is new. So that's one of the big differences. And the lack of tracking, especially in the iOS platform, is certainly an interesting thing. I think, a constant challenge for all of us. So I think one thing that is interesting is if you can find a business model that gives you a pocket of opportunity in one place or another. For example, Tim, you were mentioning some of your portfolio companies like WhatsApp, that they have a super strong viral distribution strategy. That's awesome. When you do that on mobile and you do it first and you do it on one platform, that's a great way to think about distribution on a business, and a lot of that's free, potentially. I don't know in your specific case, but if you can get a free viral distribution model, and this is rocket science, but if you can pick a platform and do that, you'll be in good shape. If you're lucky to have a strong web presence, as we do, and you are aggressive about using that to grow your mobile presence, that can be the way to do it. So I think looking at each ecosystem and figuring out where there's an empty piece, and then optimizing for that is unique in the mobile world, because there are so many of these independent silos.
Just have one more question before I leave it to you guys to ask some of the other questions. And this is a question which only requires a one-word, one-number answer, although I may not get those. Tell us about what CPI you're willing to pay for an app download.
$30.
$30.
If it's
Manish?
We're too young right now to kind of predict that CPI, but typically $5 to $7, I would say.
Great.
Yeah, I probably should not be too specific here. I would say, if we know they're going to 100% chance they're going to register or do one of these actions, it would go up a lot. But somewhere in the $2 to $6 range would be, well, $0 to $6 range.
So if anyone wants to do a traffic swap, I think Adam wins.
Never get them. I'll also pay $1.
I'm sure you would. So are there any questions from the audience? Let's start over here.
So I think one of the big challenges that you have as a brand, I think, is measuring across channels, because you're engaging your client in multiple different avenues, and it could be social, it could be in the physical world, it could be online, it could be mobile. And I think one of the challenges in mobile is that most of the mobile analytics tools that are out there have been shoehorned from the web into mobile, and they're not really truly mobile analytics solutions. And I'm curious, what are some of the solutions you guys have employed, and how have you guys been addressing that issue to kind of attribute, your mobile traffic and tying it to these other channels?
Did everyone get a question, or do I need to repeat it? Okay, the question was, how do you attribute different channels, both across mobile and web, and how do you make sure that you're tracking across those different platforms? Adam, since you talked about brand, you want to start?
Yeah, so I think the easiest, the one thing that does make it easier, it's not an analytics tool set, but it's, people have consistencies across those mediums now with Twitter and Facebook especially, and a lot of people are logging into our ad with Facebook and then going onto Facebook and leaving comments, and then they'll go somewhere and they'll tag that event that they go to on Facebook. It's not seamless, right? It's not perfect because we get a lot of people that won't use the same email address and things like that. But that's probably been the easiest thing for us to use is actually like kind of going out and it's a little manual, right? But going and searching for that person in a social environment, and typically you can find them and see if they've been interacting with your brand, or vice versa, which is we can direct message someone, or we can contact someone and figure out, okay, who is this person, and then we can kind of tie that back to, are we having any impact from that person within our app?
Stephen, do you have anything to add to that?
Yes, the web to mobile cross-platform tracking is the question quickly. We have, it's tough. We're not great at it. We're trying to get better. In our case, we use Omniture for both, and that's largely because our website uses Omniture, and there's a huge cost. I've been in places that have different analytics solutions, and there's a huge cost to reconciling those two solutions. It's just tough to do. They're never going to match. It becomes difficult to do things. I wouldn't necessarily do what we've done or what we haven't done. I would say it's easier when you require login, like these two guys do. We don't. We are a free app to download, and we don't require login. That makes it even tougher because technically there's no way to say, all right, this Android app user is the same as this web user until they log in and we can tie it, and a small minority of people log in. So we're not great at it, and there is no good solution. I think your best bet is to really understand, pick a couple metrics that you care about and track those among the subset of users you have, and then do some statistics to project what you think the correlations are and the best you are. It's not great, but that's the best that we can do right now.
Next question.
So, a more traditional way of marketing from the old days is getting featured in what is the new and noteworthy kind of more merchandising style. So I wonder how you see the value of it and what impacts have you seen or would you expect from those type of app store features and traditional merchandising stuff?
I love the fact that that's now.
Let's repeat the question for everybody. It was, what's the value of getting featured in an app store, and can you quantify that value?
I love working in an industry where that is now the traditional way of marketing. I mean, 6 months ago that was the way of getting noticed, and it still is. If you get featured, you hit the gold mines. We get a lot of downloads. They might not be the same quality as your organic features, just the way. So I think your question was around, is it valuable? Yes, it's extremely valuable. You will get a ton of downloads. Is it quantifiable? Yes. You're the only one who knows when you get featured, but in our experience, there's a big difference between featured front page, top left. It's like anything in brand marketing versus being featured on the second page of what's hot. And I mean, we're talking a factor of 10x or whatever. It's an order of magnitude difference. So if you can hit the gold mine and get featured and then do it noteworthy for a week, I would, based on our experience, you're going to get 5x to 10x the downloads for that week, and some of those users will become great users. The other versions are a lot lower. And Apple's store, in our experience, is much more valuable feature than Google's, just because the users seem to be a little more engaged. Although, now that I think about it, in general, Apple Store is a little more valuable feature than that. It all comes down to those users. What's that cohort look like? Were they good users? Did they register? Did they add?
So Adam, I think Hoteltonight has been featured a couple times, right?
Yeah.
Are you able to quantify?
Yeah, usually. So I would actually, to make it really traditional, it's more of a PR play than it is a paid marketing play or a user acquisition play. Think of the app stores as a magazine, as a newspaper, right? It's all editorial based, it's all human decisions, at least probably 75% of it, of what everybody knows. And typically, there's two ways typically to show up in those app stores. You have a really awesome app, or you have a really awesome relationship with somebody that decides who's new and noteworthy, which is the same thing with press, right? So like, yeah, I think that's definitely, like, there's still a huge value to it. To kind of take it one step further, the other strategy that people do have in paid regards isn't just getting featured, it's also being like the top in your category. And I think one thing that we've learned a lot of, and I've learned a lot of from past employers that I've had, is that there's actually, like Steven said, the value of an organic user changes even. So a lot of people just assume, okay, if I'm featured, I'm going to get 100,000 downloads instead of 10,000 downloads this week. And thus, I got 10x the value this week than I did that week. But for us, people at the end of the day aren't going to book a hotel room unless they have some kind of need typically to book a hotel room that night. And so we may get a ton of new users from the feature, but those users are probably kind of a long-term play. A lot of them aren't going to book that week just because we were featured.
We go over here.
How do you re-engage your users? So there is a fall off, right? Maybe half out of the 10 are engaged users, but what do you guys do to re-engage with them? Like, so I got the download, so hey, maybe this guy would be interested in your feature. What do you guys do to do that?
Sorry, so yeah, I mean, we do a lot of traditional stuff, right? So like we still do CRM type things. So we do, we do some email marketing. We do events. We do contests and social. We do some push, but we're very, very hesitant about it because we don't want to hurt our relationship with our customers. So we'll do some like push notifications and things like that. But it's again, it goes.
Are you afraid to install the uninstall?
Yeah. Yeah.
Does anyone pay marketing dollars for re-engagement at all?
Yes.
I had one yes. Did you guys?
We're too small.
Yeah, we're not yet. We still have a lot of growth right now.
I think on the engagement front, one of the things, your product has to sort of be built around the core engagement architecture. Today, the only way we engage with the user is through mobile. We don't have any email channel, we don't have any other channel. And our re-engagement rates are extremely high. Part of the whole thing is that the entire dynamic of the system crafted day one has to be sort of something that, first of all, creates long-term value for the user, but second of all, the interaction points are thought through and you have to fine-tune those interaction points. In our case, there's social interactions, there's sort of daily parties which bring people back in, and then there is re-engagement between users. So all of those different interactions give you a fairly rich set of comeback notices which all go out as push notifications. You can turn them on, but they're very personalized. They're not coming from the system at all. They're very specific to the user, so they are very much about me as opposed to something that I'm sort of generally broadcasting as a marketing message to you.
Over in the back.
How do you track the LTV of your users, and do you also vary the CPIs that you're willing to pay on that basis?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, if you got a traffic source that's delivering.
I'm sorry, the question was, how do you track the LTVs of your lifetime values of your customers, and do you therefore pay a different cost per install for each user? And Steve was about to say definitely yes.
If you have a sort of distribution that's giving you users who are twice as valuable, you'll pay twice as much, depending on what our goals are. But yeah.
How are you
in terms of measuring LTV, the whole marketing equation is CAC, customer acquisition cost, less than LTV, unless you're being strategic for some reason, and then maybe it's greater than LTV or equal to LTV, and you just figure out what's our ROI on this marketing program. If you're doing DR, if you want to put a brand layer on top of that, you might pay more for what your LTV is, but LTV just comes down to doing some hard numbers on what your business drivers are and how much those are worth to you, and it helps to have a bit of a runway, as Adam and Manish were saying, so you know that, all right, they might not book tonight, but maybe in 9 months or maybe in 12 months they will.
I might ask Manish here to chime in because he's got a startup which has not yet seen customers through their entire lifetime, so there's a lot of predicted signals which you're trying to track.
I was going to say that I think we are just learning that in the last month or two. We saw This is interesting because we did paid acquisition with 2 different ads, which had 2 different messages. And we are seeing in just in the first few weeks, the value of those 2 users dramatically differ. And we have started to alter that mix, and we're starting to see the value change in our cohorts. One of them costs twice as much, but actually has monetization as well as long-term value, because monetization is just one dimension we track, of 3 to 4x. So we're still sort of thinking through what this means to us, but I think not understanding the cohort and sort of thinking all users are equal makes no sense. And the users from the same exact channel got from the same exact day with 2 different messages can vary. So definitely there's dramatic differences in the value of users and dramatic differences in what you can pay for each user as you go along the way.
Hey, I was curious how you staff up the analytic marketing function you have. I mean, it sounds like the tools aren't awesome, but I was just curious how you put people in roles against that, the size of the team and what they roughly do.
The question was how to staff up a marketing organization.
Like analytic kind of digital marketing, not just like kind of brand marketing.
Yeah, mobile marketing function. How many people are in each of your respective teams focused on mobile marketing? We should start there.
So I guess technically 1.5. We have 5 people on our marketing team, but 2 of us are specifically focused on mobile marketing.
About 1 person.
One overworked Fonzie.
So I guess your answer from the panel is that it's still early days. I can tell you from some of our portfolio companies that have grown to slightly larger scale, it is important to have an organization and a very analytically driven team. The people who come into a function need to have a combination, I think, of being able to understand some of the questions that have been asked today around how do you calculate an LTV in an industry which is completely new, and how do you deal with re-engagement as well as just acquisition. So that's on the one side, but there's usually also another part of the organization where you do need people who have a creative bent. So some of these secrets which were shared here or non-traditional marketing channels still need to be found. Turns out that in today's world there's still a lot of arbitrage opportunities to be discovered. So that's the second thing, someone who's a little bit creative. And then the third, I'd say oftentimes, and a few people raise their hands when I ask the BD question, there is also someone who is actively building relationships with other developers who could be publishers. And so that just gives you some way of thinking about an organization growing beyond just the 1.5 people teams.
I could actually comment on that. I've run very large teams of analysts and media buyers in the past, and there's one thing you want to think about is how much of that, what are your important KPIs? Second, what are your data sources? And third, can you bring, or do you need development resources to bring those into a dashboard that makes that information digestible? Because often you have all this data coming in, and the problem is not that you don't have enough data, but it's being able to make that data actionable or insightful and useful for people who may not be analysts. So one thing I always advise is make sure you have some development resources against whatever it is that you want to analyze, because your analysts, they can only do so much, and they're not necessarily people who can program and code and parse and split that data up the ways that you want to. So I would always say caution about making sure that you have some dev resources assigned to that, and then figure out what you can automate. Whatever you can automate, then you staff against that. So you probably want to do a trial against that, and then base that against your projections. And then you can say, okay, we're going to need 3, 4, 5. I mean, I would take a team from like literally 2 guys to like we were over 25. So automation is key wherever you can, but the reality is you can't always.
Thank you. I'm not going to attempt to repeat that. Over here.
How about optimization within the App Store and Google Play as far as search efforts go? Have you done it? Are you putting any energy towards that, and has it worked?
So the question was optimization within app stores, sort of the SEO approach for app store distribution. Steve, do you have any comments?
Yes, we do it. Yes, it works on both app stores. So it's not, there's no, I don't think there's a ton of rocket science about it. It's pretty public about what you can do in Google Play. It's their SEO algorithm largely. So that's been around for a dozen years. We can all know pretty much what that is. And on Apple, it's a more simple app store, it looks like to us, but the things that really matter are your app name. If you look at our apps, for example, you'll see that our organic keywords are very much in the app title, and that's because when people are searching for real estate, we want to be up there at the top, and your app title matters a lot. The screenshots matter a lot too. People look at, when they're trying to decide which download the screenshot, because they see pretty hotel photos, they're going to download HeyZap. If they see pretty women fashion, they're going to download HeyZap.
And the copy, the photos, the title, and the copy all matter. They matter both in App Store rankings as well as conversion. Again, we changed our copy to optimize in a certain way, and we saw conversions drop by 15%. We reversed it, and actually with site changes they went back up. So each of these little things have huge ramifications. It's photos, copy as well as the title. And within the copy, the sequencing of the copy, how we sort of bold and all of that. So these are, again, you can test it out. There's no sort of, I can't say this is the best way, but very, very high sensitivity to all of these things.
Testing is key, and the testing you gotta test everything. Whatever we're doing at Trulia may or may not be good. We think it's good. Whatever you're doing may or may not be good, but you see a good idea, you gotta be active on the App Store, try it, see if it works.
There's a couple of tools coming out of the woodworks now too that will actually give you like a daily snapshot of, the term hotel, like how do I rank compared to my best or my closest competitors on a day-to-day basis, and I can see that fluctuation and things like that. So it's still definitely a test type scenario, but
Did I mention some of the names of those tools?
I'm trying to totally draw.
There's one tool called Searchman.
Yeah, Searchman is the one that I use too. I know there's another tool like SEO mobile or something like that, but Searchman is the one that I usually know.
It's by the ad monitors. One of the ad monitors is just
Near and Europe. Near and Europe.
Only time for two more questions. Come back over there. Here, over in the back.
Me?
That's the back.
Hi, I'm Pepe Charles. My question has two parts. The first one, I don't know if you can mention some of the good sources that you're using. And the second one, in an industry that is evolving super fast, what is it that is still missing? What is it that you would like to see on your distribution platforms or your ad networks? And they cannot offer it yet.
So the first question was, what are some of the good sources of traffic for you guys? And I have a sneaking suspicion that TapSense is going to get mentioned here.
TapSense. I know that they do some good business with us. It's still, so the traditional players, so AdMob, Gray Stripe, Millennial, those guys still have probably the largest proprietary set of publishers. So from a volume perspective, they're great, but we're working with probably 20 different partners right now. And in my previous role, I was working with probably 50. So it could be a lot more than 20. We've just paced it a bit. And then as far as what's missing from my eyes is just anything other than just a standard static banner that works, right? So there's nothing really custom in the space yet. There's no dynamic ads that are really catching on. There's no there's some rich media video stuff, but even that's it's really, really vanilla right now. Nobody's come up with really cool advertising models yet in the mobile space.
Anyone else have any other tips? Challenge? No. All right. Final question. In the green.
As you move from a startup phase to, let's say, a more mature company, what kind of budget do you allocate overall into the PR/marketing/consumer awareness or acquisition?
Wow, that's a loaded question. Who wants to tackle that one?
I will say that I looked, so one good way to benchmark yourself that way, depends on what you want to make sure, but if they're public companies, I come from online travel, which is a very interesting space. I come from Adam's world when I was at Orbitz. Those companies are all public and they spend anywhere from 27 to 40% of their revenue on marketing. Now, there's a lot that falls under there. And it's really, those mature, arguably those are mature companies and they're fighting for share against each other. But there are, you can look at public companies and see what they spend on. It's one good way to get an idea with the big companies in your community space. Now, again, it's different from your small company because you only have $10 and you got to figure out, you can't spend 9 of it on marketing, you got to spend it on.
Yeah, I don't think there's one answer to that question. I'm involved in companies who have tens, if not hundreds of millions of users and who spend zero on marketing. And on the other hand, there are companies who are getting going and they have less than a million users and they have spent significant budgets to become prominent somewhere on an app store. So the thing I'm going to leave everyone with, just a question for each of you, piece of advice for folks in the room with regard to mobile marketing, anything that you could leave the audience with as a parting word.
Diversify your case studies. So if you're a traditional brand, look at and see what the startups are doing. If you're a travel company, look to see what the gaming guys are doing. If you're a gaming company, look to see what the travel guys are doing. Everyone's doing something different in the space, and there's a lot of silos of how people are approaching it. But I think there's cool things happening across all of them. So my advice is just really look and see what the whole mobile industry is doing, because everyone's testing and trying new, cool, interesting things right now. You can learn from everybody.
I would say that in the early days, having a partner, so we partnered with TapSense in the early days and continue to do that, was very helpful. And I'm not just saying it to plug them, because there's so many problems and so many different approaches here that just from tracking to understanding the market, I think finding a partner is useful. The second thing I would say is focus on one platform. There are many platforms that work. But if you just focus on one platform and try to master it, that's a good start as opposed to trying to diffuse yourself to many places. Once that's working, then you can start building other things.
You said one word? Or you said one word?
One parting piece of advice.
I would say test. It's one word, just test. Focus is always important.
Well, I hope you guys have found this helpful. Round of applause for our... I'm sure some of these guys are going to stick around. I'll be around for a little bit, and then so feel free to come up with more specific questions. Hey guys, the bar is going to be open until 8:30. I don't know anything else to say. Thank you. And let's give a round of applause to Tim Lee for moderating and being so punctilious up there. And thanks again to TapSense and to HeyZap. Thanks guys.